Welcome back to another video, and I'm really excited for this one. We'll do some magic in this video. Kunal, what magic? What are you talking about magic? So basically, as you know, we are doing the DevOps bootcamp, right? And we're going to be covering Kubernetes and stuff and containers and all these other things. So with Kubernetes, you're going to be working with various objects and everything. Now you may be like, Kunal, we don't, let's say, know Kubernetes right now. So if you're watching a video and you know about Kubernetes, and if you're a Kubernetes expert and everything, you're definitely going to be, you know what I'm talking about. But let's say you don't really know about Kubernetes, or you're starting out with Kubernetes, right? And you want to go on the more practical side, like very quickly. Okay, just try out various things and try to set it up and see what it is all about. So how do we use Kubernetes without worrying about the technical complexities and everything, like writing big YAML files? For example, we just did the YAML course, right? And in that course I mentioned that you'll be writing a lot of YAML files when we work with Kubernetes, command line tools and everything. So the magic is, like, we'll be able to work with all the Kubernetes and cloud providers and everything without using the command line, for example, without using the the YAML files, writing it on our own. Lens will do it for us automatically. So presenting Lens, huge shout out to Mirantis, and make sure you check out the links in the description. What is this video about, Kunal? So in this video, we're going to be looking at Lens, the world's most advanced and really powerful Kubernetes platform, as you can see over here. And we'll be learning about what are the features of Lens, and we'll also be doing a demo. And the magic is that if you have never worked with Kubernetes before, I repeat, if you have never worked with Kubernetes before or containers before, obviously knowing how these things work, knowing what Kubernetes is and what all various objects are about and everything, definitely everything that about Kubernetes and related to that, we're going to be covering in the DevOps bootcamp. So make sure you check out the links in the description. Soon I'll be uploading 2 playlists, one on Docker, one on Kubernetes, and then some advanced concepts. This video is a part of the Cloud Native Tools deep dive playlist that I've started. So I did one with like day 3. We're going to be doing more and more such things, and now we're doing one with Lens. So in this playlist, I try to highlight all the amazing DevOps tools that are going to help you in your journey when learning and also when working with in the field of DevOps and cloud native. A huge shout out to Lens. I mean, the platform is so incredible that it speaks for itself, because it has roughly 500,000 active users per month. That's pretty amazing, right? And if you're a developer, for example, and you just want to focus on writing your code and don't want to worry about the technical complexities, definitely this is the thing for you. Even if you're not a developer, you are a Kubernetes admin or whatever. I think 500,000 users per month, and when I first tried it out, I also was hooked, and I use it now for everything. So Kunal, what is this video about? Once again, in this video, we're going to be looking at what is Lens, what are all the various features, and how do we get started, and just a complete walkthrough. So if you don't know about Kubernetes, if you don't know about any of these things, you will be able to follow this demo. That's my guarantee. Okay, just do what I'm doing and you'll be able to follow it. You'll be able to understand a little bit as well. We'll focus on what we are doing, and if you want to learn more about the hidden complexities of Kubernetes, for that you can stay tuned for my Kubernetes course. All right, so let's get started. What is Lens, Kunal? So Lens is basically an application, right? So you can download it for Mac, you can download it for Windows and Linux as well. Okay, so it basically helps us to have a more better and powerful and deeper look into our Kubernetes clusters. Okay, clusters that we're running on our servers, on our local system, for example, MiniCube. So we'll be learning about MiniCube as well later on as we move forward, and cloud providers. To make things more simple and interesting, I'll be showing you the demo using Civo. So make sure you stay around for that, and we'll be setting up a K8s cluster in Civo for free, because you get $250 worth of credit that you can use to try it out, and then we'll use Lens to manage it, and I'll show you all the amazing features this has to offer. Okay, so it's a really powerful, it's like the most powerful IDE for folks who want to deal with the Kubernetes clusters on a daily basis, because otherwise you would have to use the command line tools. Okay, and write big YAML files and everything. So basically you can make sure that your clusters are set up and configured, and you can increase the visibility, see what's going inside your clusters, and you can get real-time statistics. For example, you can add your own dashboards, like we'll be doing with Prometheus. You can also add a Grafana dashboard and everything like that. You can get logs and everything. That is also something we'll be doing, and you can also have access to a lot of hands-on troubleshooting tools, right? So that's I believe pretty interesting. It's also a really great way to collaborate with other people, so you can make sure that other people are able to access your Kubernetes clusters, and we'll talk more about that soon. The best part though the best part is that one of the best part is that it's open source. This thing is open source, and it's, you can get started with it for free. Cool. And you can definitely contribute to it as well. So let's look at some of the features. Like here we have the Lens desktop for Kubernetes monitoring, just a simple application. Just download it, and how to set it up and everything I'll teach you right now. Okay, so here you can see it's, as I mentioned, removes complexity. You get real-time observability. You can troubleshoot and debug and run it on your desktop. It's open source and it's free. It's work with any Kubernetes platform. So we'll be working with Civo. Cool. And you can see that all your cloud native tech stacks and everything are easily accessible. So for example, when you talk about Helm charts and everything, that is also extremely easily accessible in this. Okay, so I'll just show you that in just a minute. Cool. And you can see everything in real time as well. So one more thing is that if you want to work with terminal, this is a really great feature of it, and I'll show you this in a bit, that how when you shift in various environments, the terminal will automatically make sure that it's pointing to like the correct cluster API endpoint. That's a pretty cool feature, and I'm really excited to show you that. Okay, so everything you can deploy in just one click, and we'll show more and more features shortly. So Lens Kubernetes, you can manage your dev clusters, and you can it also provides a cloud-based service, and for all the people who use Lens spaces. So if we talk about spaces, Kunal, what are Lens spaces? So basically it's basically your Kubernetes environment in the cloud. You can use it for your testing purposes and everything like that. Definitely we'll be using the I'll be doing like a separate video on like Teams features and adding like Grafana dashboards and everything. In this video we'll be working with cloud provider like Civo. Cool. So you can see managed dev and self-hosted over here as well. So the container runtime it uses, all the machine architectures and everything it supports. So all the things are mentioned over here. Cool. So the first thing is download Lens. So go to this particular URL and select your operating system and like Linux kernel and everything, and just download it. I'm using Apple Silicon, so I downloaded it, Apple Silicon, right? So once it's downloaded, just install it, simple click installs, and open your application. It will look something like this, and it will look something like this. So this is what it looks like. We'll be diving deep into it. Let me just click on home. Okay, let me just click on home and help you navigate through the dashboard. All right, so here you can see the entire catalog, like some web links, and you can follow Lens on Twitter and the official blog and documentation and everything. But what if I want to see all the Kubernetes clusters that I have right over here? So you can click in the categories section, you can click on clusters. So you can see I have 5 clusters over here right now. This is on my local system. The kubeconfig file is obviously located over here, and kubeconfig file basically is the one that allows us to access all our like clusters and everything. And here is the Lens demo, which is running on Civo. So what is Civo? Civo is the cloud native service provider, and the mission of Civo is to enable companies to host core applications with ease, helping speed up development and improving, increasing like productivity and reducing costs. So as you can see, you can launch a cluster in like under 90 seconds compared to like 10 to 15 to 20 minutes when compared to other hyperscalers and cloud providers. You have a simplified developer experience and transparent pricing from just $5 a month. You can sign up to Civo, and we'll be using that in this demo and in the entire Kubernetes journey, because first of all it's amazing. Second of all, I think like when we'll be using for example multi-node infrastructures, right? Multiple machines we have to work with, for example, it would not be possible for you to run it on your own local system, right? So in MiniCube we only have one node, but what if you want to work with multiple nodes and everything? Nodes basically like a virtual machine that where our clusters are running. Okay, so for that we can use cloud providers such as Civo, and we're using Civo because it's very fast, and it's you get $250 worth of free credit as well, and the pricing is also extremely low. Okay, so you can see all the benefits over here. Cool. I'm gonna go to my dashboard and show you how we are working with it. So Lens demo, in my Kubernetes, I have a Lens demo cluster running, but don't worry about that. We'll be actually, starting it from scratch as well. So I'll create a new cluster and see how you can connect it with that. Okay, so first let me show you like a little bit of the bird eye drop picture, right? So how the overall things look, and then we'll dive into each and everything individually. So as you can see, I have multiple clusters over here. Let's start something. Okay, let's start the MiniCube one. Let's connect it with Lens. I can just click on this, it will connect it. There you go. That's it. and let's start the lens demo as well. So two different things are happening here. This is the one that is running on my machine. This is the one that is running in cloud. Should be connecting shortly. There you go. Okay. So one thing I want to show you over here is that let's take a look at MiniCube. Okay, so you can see all the CPU usage, the memory usage, the pod and everything. You can see the CPU memory usage and like the memory in the the Prometheus, like I believe, charts as well. So this is what I wanted to share. It has, like, first of all, multi-cluster management, which is amazing because you can access and work with your various clusters from just one single IDE. I have pinned those over here in the in the side, which is a pretty handy, like a sidebar thing that you can use, and you can pin all your clusters. Like, you can go to your catalog and you can pin those like this. Add to hotbar. Okay, you can remove from hotbar as well, so on and so forth. So how easily I'm able to switch between my clusters. I believe this is a really amazing feature. And in addition to that, one more thing I want to share is that like the multi-cluster infrastructure, right, that I already mentioned. The next thing I want to share is that it also has a built-in Prometheus stats. So this graph that you can see, if I just right click on this, go to settings, and I go to metrics, right? So here you can see Prometheus. Okay, so you can even start your own, and you can even add a Prometheus operator and Helm and everything. Obviously we'll be doing a demo of this as well, so no worries. If you want to hide a few metrics, like you don't want to see the information of like stateful sets or whatever, you can hide those from here as well. Right now I'm just showing you the overview, the big picture. See all the workloads over here, configuration. We'll be diving deep into it shortly. And apps and like your Helm charts are here, and storage configurations and namespaces are here, so on and so forth. Cool. The next thing I want to show you is the terminal. So this is a context aware terminal, right? So basically when you're working with Kubernetes, there's the kubectl command, right? So let me just show you something. Kubectl version or kubectl, whatever you like to call it. Okay, so here it's saying major 1 minor 21 git version 1.2 to 1.2 or whatever. If I switch over here and I add the terminal over here and I say kubectl version, now this is giving me a different thing. Kunal, what is this? You say server version, it's actually K3s because we're running on Civo. Civo works with K3s. This is a little bit different. Kunal, what is happening? So this is actually able to make sure, like when you're working with, let's say, Civo clusters, so you are in the, let's say it's pointing to the correct cluster API endpoint. So like this, you can have like such various environments and etc. and that can help you out in that. So right now I know I'm in the Civo environment, for example, and here I know that in this terminal I'm in the MiniCube environment. So that's what I wanted to show. It's also an amazing feature, context aware terminal. And you can have like multiple workspaces as well, so you can create your own like workspaces and everything, and you can check out how you can organize your clusters in like various groups and all these other things. Now you may be wondering, Kunal, how does Lens know like where the MiniCube cluster is running, or how am I getting all these pods information or whatever, right? So as you can see, an overview if I want to show you. So basically by default it's going to look at your .cube/config file, which is in your home directory. So it basically contains all the information about how it will connect to your Kubernetes cluster. Okay, and the next thing is, Kunal, how are you adding the cloud providers over here? That is something I'll show you when I show you like the entire demo of how I added this cluster over here. Okay, so let's first explore it a little bit. Okay, so let's do a little bit of a walkthrough. Let's go to our cluster first. Okay, I've zoomed in a little bit so you can see. So as you can see about your cluster, you can see the the nodes and information and CPU and memory usage and everything is available over here. Next thing is about the node. So as I mentioned, in MiniCube you only have one node on your system, right? So there's only one mentioned over here. So as you can see, like memory and disk and pod information and CPU information and all the addresses and everything, and like the OS image and kernel. The next thing I want to show you is the node shell. Like you can go into it and you can now you're in your node, so it's connecting to it right now. Okay, so now I'm inside my cluster. I can run all the commands and everything. Sound good? So that's the node shell. Cool. So as you can see about the information, like how long ago it was created, around so much information is provided available over here. All right, so that's our node. But now let's look at the workloads. So workloads are basically like what all Kubernetes objects I'm running in it. So let's say pods, for example. So I'm running so many pods. Now this is an interesting feature. You can filter out pods over here like this. You can work with the namespaces, so you can check out all the namespaces, for example, or the default. There's none in the default, like this, like this, like this, so on and so forth. Okay, so right now only have in Cube system namespace, I have all these objects. You can click on any one of these. You can say, let's say, storage provisioning, for example, and you can also get all the logs over here, right? So you can get all the logs, and you can search the logs, you can filter the logs, and you can make some changes to your filters as well over here. Cool. And another thing I want to show you is if you click on any one of these pods as well, so you can see the CPU usage, the memory, the network information, and file systems, and everything are available over here. So you can see which node is controlling this particular pod, say MiniCube, status running, and the IP and everything, and all the other things are mentioned over here. Cool. So the statuses and the image as well, and environment and mounts and all these other commands and everything that run when it sort of like starts up and everything. Cool. So such a comprehensive amount of information has been provided over here for every single pod and like object. You can check out the deployments. Core DNS is running over here on my local system. Daemon sets, stateful sets, none right now. Replica sets, let's say, one is running over here. Cron jobs and everything mentioned over here. You can also check out the overview, like 8 pods are running, 1 deployment is running, 1 daemon sets are running, and 1 replica sets are running. Individually, if you want to learn more about this, we'll be covering it in the Kubernetes bootcamp, but you can also check out the Kubernetes documentation for the same. Cool. One more thing I want to share is, let's say you want to create a new pod in the default namespace, for example, or let's just okay, and we'll talk more about like configuration later on, but let me first tell you more about, like, if you want to get more information, like you can even like edit the pod. You can see here now you're getting all the configuration for this pod, right? So when we're working with like Kubernetes without Lens, for example, then we have to write this thing on our own and say kubectl apply, and then apply it, and then it will create and update those objects or whatever. Okay, you can also check out various logs of individual pods, like logs, right over here. One second, let me just show you. These are the logs. You can search these as well. Okay, and you can also filter it, like for example, this has been restarted 7 times, so ascending order, descending order, so on and so forth. Okay, this is like the container, so this has one container, one container, one container, one container. Okay, if we talk about nodes and stuff, you can see all over here. Cool. So that's basically about. Okay, now let's look at some like configurations. Configuration, like we'll talk more about this in the Kubernetes bootcamp. But for example, in config maps, you have it's basically an API object which is used to store non-confidential data in like key value pairs. So here we have, for example, this. Okay, you can get more and more information. You can edit it and delete it, and you can get, like, if you edit it, so you have to edit it like that, right? Cool. Sound good? You can have secrets, so a lot of secrets over here, resource quotas, and all these other things. Everything is mentioned over here. Cool. Then you can get network operations. You can see information about the kube DNS. Okay, type is cluster IP, and everything is mentioned, like ports are mentioned over here, 53 UDP, TCP port, and the endpoints and everything are mentioned over here. You can edit it and delete it. You can see the status of it, and ports and the cluster IP, and if it had an external IP. If you're working with ingress, for example, you can see ingress is over here. Right now on my MiniCube, I don't have any, but if you did, you would see it over here. Okay, and the policies and port forwarding and everything. Storage is another interesting one. So you can see all the persistent volumes over here, right? The storage class is standard, and you can check out all the capacities. So 8 gigs, 20 gigs, 2 gigs over here. You can see the paths and everything available over here, the names and metrics. Okay, so this is the one being used by Prometheus, and in the namespace lens metrics. So lens has its own like Prometheus over there, and it's using that to have all these nice dashboards for us. For example, this one. Okay, you can also go back in front. So if I go back, I'll go back to this one. You can see status over here as well, and you can, I believe, edit it and delete it as well. Okay, and you have your storage classes, so you can classify it accordingly. Okay, the next thing is namespace. This is interesting. So you can like create your own namespace, and let me show you. By default, we have the default one. Let's say I want to create another namespace called Kunal. Create the namespace. So now Kunal namespace has been created. Okay, right now it does not have anything, but we can add it definitely. You can also check out events. So what all events were taking place, right? And we'll talk more about charts and everything later on. Okay, but you can also provide like cluster roles and everything. Look at admin, cluster admin and everything. And we'll talk more about how Lens allows you to like share your access to your Kubernetes clusters with, let's say, developers without worrying about all these nitty-gritty things. Okay, and custom resources definitions I don't have yet right now, but we'll talk more about that later on. So now let's look into like first of all, I have to share with you how you can create new objects and more about the namespace that I just created, and I also have to show you how to work with the cloud providers, right? So those are the two important things I like promised. So let's get on to it. And right now you only know, Kunal, we are seeing so many things, but how do we get all these things on our dashboard or whatever? So let's try to see that. Okay, so now let me show you first of all, let's say how to create new resources. So you want to create a new pod, for example, and when you're working with Kubernetes, you have to like you have to do it like kubectl apply and the YAML file or whatever. But here what you can do is actually it's pretty simple. So you go to your terminal, right? And let me just close all the extra ones, right? Don't need this. Go to a new terminal, or what you can do is directly click on this plus sign and say create a resource. Now you can select the template. Let's say, for example, I want to create a new pod. Sound good? That's it. And then you say create and close. Static web was created. In our pods, we may be able to see static web over here. If I refresh this, I'm right now having the namespace cube system. That's why it's not available. Let's say all namespaces. Static web was created in the default namespace. Sound good? So how easy is it? So if I go to new create resource and I want to create, let's say I want to create a deployment. So you can see here we have our deployment, right? And then we can say create and close. Nginx deployment created. Go to deployments. Nginx deployment has been created in the default namespace. Okay, so you can see it's like currently progressing, and you can see that it's currently the status of the pods in this deployment, like 3 pods. They're currently pending. 1 is running, and now others will be running shortly. Okay, it's progressing, and it's right now 2 or 3 are running. Now 3 on 3 are running, and now it's available in just a few clicks. Else you would have to write this entire thing down. Let me just show you. You can also scale your deployment. Okay, if you want to scale it, let's say right now I have 3. I'm going to scale it to 4. Scale it. 4 are created now. Can even check it out. These are the 4s. How cool is that? Like, otherwise you would have to edit it using this file, and all these other things are automatically created for you. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so this is something we are going to heavily work with. Like Lens is something we're going to be working with a lot. So first, if you have like some basic understanding of like what Kubernetes is and what containers are and all these objects and everything, after that you can definitely, while you're learning during that time as well, you can work with Lens, and Lens is going to create all these resources for you, so you can focus on the learning part, and Lens can take care of it. And if you're like working using Kubernetes in production, this is amazing. Over around 500,000 folks use it already, and I think like it can definitely help increase the productivity of your organization. And yeah, make sure you check it out. Speaking of productivity, let's try out Civo, and let me create a new cluster and show you how you can connect it. So definitely check out Civo as well, and you can go to over here at the home page, and if you have any sales inquiries, you can reach out to us. You can check out all the resources, the community, webinars, and everything we do. It's pretty awesome. Create a new cluster. I'll show you how simple is it. Okay, it is. Okay, something like Kunal demo. Okay, Kunal demo. 3 instances, default. Let's say I choose the medium one. You can choose like performance, CPU optimized, RAM optimized. So many categories are available now. Okay, you can see the multi pricing as well, transparent pricing, and some advanced options are available over here. Okay, so CNI you can select. I'm going to leave it by default for Flannel, and I'm going to select some marketplace applications. Let's say traffic, and we select Prometheus operator, and we select, let's say, I think that's enough for now. Okay, Argo, maybe Argo. Yeah, cool. Create cluster. I'm creating it in London. You can create it like in Germany and in the United States as well. Create cluster. In under 90 seconds, it will be created. Okay, so I'm basically going to show you how you can, connect this with Lens. So the idea is that I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna say add cluster. Okay, so if I add a cluster, you can say that clusters here are not add, or so basically you can basically copy paste the kubeconfig file over here. Okay, if you want, so basically this is going to generate a kubeconfig file for me, right? Using the kubeconfig file, I can make sure that these tools and stuff have access to my cluster wherever that is. Okay, so I'm going to download the kubeconfig file. I'm going to copy paste it over here and it's going to connect it with the cloud. As simple as that. You can also share it in your, the by default config file where it actually looks for it. Then it will do it automatically. Okay, you will be able to see it over here. Over here, you will be able to see it over here. Okay, both options are fine. So as you can see, you can either mention a folder, okay, sync the kubeconfig files, or you can add a kubeconfig file. Notice something that if you add it over here, it will not be merged with the one that is in your system. You can read more about it over here in this link that is provided. As you can see, in just under 90 seconds, it was created, our cluster was created, and we have 3 nodes over here now. So example, in MiniCube, you only have 1 node available, but what if you want to learn about and use multi-node? If you're working in production, you're obviously like using multiple nodes. So for that, like Civo is extremely fast and it's really cost efficient as well as compared to many other providers. So I'm going to download the kubeconfig file. And I'm going to copy paste this. I'm going to open this up. Okay, so I'm going to copy and I'm going to paste. That's it. Add cluster. So now you can see it will be adding 1 cluster, which is Kunal demo. Disconnected right now. Let's connect it. That is it. How simple is it? Extremely easy to do it, right? So that's basically the idea with like Civo, and you can utilize the power of Civo in production and with your learnings and everything. Do make sure you check it out. You can install other marketplace applications over here directly. Like you can go to marketplace and you can install all these other applications over here as well. Okay, so you can sign up to Civo. You can check out the links in the description and get started with it. That's it. You might be getting this error like metrics are not available. For that, it's pretty simple. First of all, I'm going to add it to my hotbar over here. I'm going to right click and I'm going to say settings. Okay, now explore the settings. So in that settings, I'm going to go to metrics and I'm going to say lens for Prometheus. Okay, close it. If I try to install, let's say try to install one more thing I want to show you is that if I go to settings and I go to an extension lens metrics, I can enable it like this for this cluster, apply, and it's on over here right now. Okay, so you can go to your metrics, you can select lens or auto detect. Cool. Okay, one more thing I want to show you is Helm charts. So you can go to charts in the under app section, you can go to charts and also releases. So you can go to charts and you can select, let's say I select Prometheus. Okay, and we just install it. There you go. Helm install. That's it. I could also choose the namespace, like if you have a metric namespace, I had the Kunal one, I could gone with that over here. Oh, but that's not in this. That's in the MiniCube one. You can create your own namespace, like I created the Kunal one, and then you can install it. Should be done shortly. So as you can see, that's all done. One more thing I'd like to mention is that you can use cluster connect. So basically you can, as I mentioned previously, easily share access to your Kubernetes cluster with your team members and stuff. You can use lens spaces for that, and you can have like all your administrative like rights and all these other, you can authenticate users and everything. Okay, so we'll do another video on that, right? For a dedicated like a tutorial on that, but I believe this is more than enough for you to get started. Now the only thing is check out the links in the description, install it, play around with it, and follow the Kubernetes tutorials that I'll be making, and then basically we're going to be utilizing this quite a lot. Also make sure you check out Lens on Twitter for like future announcements and everything and product updates. You can follow them, and as we use Civo as well, you can check out Civo on Twitter as well. It's at Civo Cloud, and you can give us a follow and check out all the resources and announcements and everything. Last but not least, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and check out the links in the description below to get started. Make sure you follow the DevOps Bootcamp, use the hashtag DevOps with Kunal, and we'll be utilizing more and more such cool features and highlighting a lot of amazing tools and resources. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.